Hi, I'm Sehaj from the S60 blog. My question is, with Symbian phones having a lot of theme developers, what do you think they have a role in developing the icons? And does Nokia tend to come out with more, you may say, jazzy-looking themes rather than solid themes that they generally come out with?
In terms of themes, customizing the UI.
And the icons as well, because some theme developers customize the look of the icons as well.
Mm. I guess in terms of Nokia, we create a Nokia set, and then as we kind of been mentioning, it's possible for our products to be kind of personalized in many different ways. We've talked about customizing things like the home screen and customizing the wallpaper as part of that, and some of the widgets. So we kind of encourage people, we're kind of providing the structure in which people can customize their devices to better fit their needs and better represent them.
Well, I guess one of the examples is gestural interaction. And I think gestures are probably not the standout, the only method of interacting with a phone, but it provides an easier alternative, and especially for non-touch devices, because the intuitiveness could come from. We actually had a design competition in Dharavi in Mumbai, and one of the ideas that got a lot of attention was just pointing the phone to the sky, and it would tell the weather. And that was obviously, weather information was something that the community thought quite important because a lot of jobs were done outdoors. Um, and we had an argument of why that's innovative. Weather is such a universally available information. But throughout the discussion, we basically concluded it's a small step, but that simple way to improve how I can get the weather information is a step towards making the technology more accessible to broader individuals, broader target groups.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of gesture doesn't have to be on a touch device. It can be on any device. I mean, the gestures I talked about, holding a phone up, having an overlay of information or projecting onto an object, doesn't have to be touch.
And as you mentioned, NFC, we still don't have that that many phones in the market yet, but we have a couple of products in the market with NFC interaction. Markets like Japan is a good showcase how NFC can develop into broader applications, but of course that takes time because other counterparts in the real world, like convenience stores, train station, ticket booth, all have to participate. But that could also be a new interaction method that will be coming and making it much easier and faster in interacting with the phones.
One last question, that gentleman
Yeah.
at the
Hi,
back. Yeah.
I'm Rohit. I would like to ask how often does it, pose a challenge for the design team to come with, these gestures and all? It takes some kind of sensors, technologies, touch sensor, motion sensors and all. How often does it pose a challenge on the cost of the device, especially, for our markets like India and Asia, most of the Asian countries where, you know, the economy is very price sensitive. A device would not sell in huge numbers if, and again, if you want to add some complicated gestures, you may have to spend on some very precise sensors to that device.
Exactly.
So how do you solve?
The part that we presented today is actually probably the very beginning part, because our study was actually technology agnostic. The first two phases were purely asking people and probing what people thought would be a good gesture. The process that we are in now, we have certain candidate gestures because we know that that would be something that people would want. But now we're investigating what would be the best way to implement. And that was a reason why we had a sensor super backpack, so that we can, because even if the gesture is the same, perceivably same for human experience, it may not be, there may be several alternatives of how that gesture can be implemented. So for instance, cover a phone. That can be done with a light sensor, that can be done with a pressure sensor, that can be done with a conductivity sensor. But making that combination is really, exactly as you said, not all the phones will have all the sensors available. So we have to really work with technology roadmap as well as even sourcing what would be the sensors that are considerably becoming cheaper in the future, so that we make sure that, I mentioned the Nokia common gestures. If that gesture becomes really Nokia common gesture, how can we actually predict that certain sensors will be in place in all Nokia phones? If you look back, Bluetooth, 5 years ago, it was available only in a very few models. But after a few years, the price went down considerably. So I would assume that would be the model for sensor deployment as well, that certain models will start